And Planning Committee meeting for the, what is it, the 28th of September. Please take the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Schron,
Here.
Mr. Hairston,
Here.
Mr. Greenspan, Mr. Germana. Mr. Germana is absent. Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon is absent. We have a quorum, and I like the record to reflect that Mr. Miller is in attendance.
Thank you. Is there anybody sign in for public comment related to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has signed in.
Thank you. Has everybody a chance to look at the minutes from the August 17th meeting? The chair will hereby move that we accept the minutes of the August 17th meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, the minutes are approved. The chair will use its discretion to change the sequence of the agenda. The item B will be heard first, then we'll go to item A, and then we'll go to item C. So if we can have the reading into the record of 0184, please.
Resolution 2015-0184, authorizing the Economic Development Fund redevelopment and modernization loan in the amount not to exceed $685,000 to LaSalle AMC for the benefit of the LaSalle Arts and Media Center project located at 819 through 829 East 185th Street, Cleveland.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this project?
Yeah.
There you go.
Great.
Thanks, Michael.
Michael May, Economic Development Department, or Economic Development Division of the Department of Development, here to speak on behalf of the loan request. Again, I'm pleased to present the loan request to provide a commercial property realization, redevelopment, and modernization loan in the amount of $685,000 to conduct the complete interior building renovations for an approximately 30,000 square foot building at the addresses of 819 to 829 East 185th Street in Cleveland, Ohio. It's the LaSalle Theater, which is an historic single-screen theater complex with 3 additional storefronts and 6 apartments that was originally constructed in 1927. The project is now to convert the building into the LaSalle Arts and Media Center. This project will redevelop a key historic linchpin along a major neighborhood corridor, East 185th Street, which is critical to both the city of Cleveland and the city of Euclid, both of whom are working very hard to resuscitate the corridor together. It provides storefront space for locally based entities, the key one being a Taste of Excellence Catering, but also a theater company, Confections Bakery, and an insurance company. The use of the major large theater space will be converted into a multi-use facility that will be rented out on a daily basis for art events, private gatherings, and community meetings. Basically, this is a project that really meets the theme of the place-based economic development that is so important in our 5-year economic development plan. It's again going to help the corridor. It's going to also have a mixed-use aspect to it. It's going to have 6 newly renovated housing units, and again, all of the commercial activity that I mentioned, all catalyzing economic development, redevelopment, and bolstering the urban fabric of that community. The terms of the project, basically the overall project is $3.2 million, of which again it's $685,000 from the county. The terms are, there'll be a 4% interest rate on the loan. It will be a 5-year term on the loan. That actually is, as opposed to the 7%, or I'm sorry, 7 years that was written in the legislation. So I would like to correct that if I could, from 5 years, or from 7 years to 5 years. The monthly repayment of principal and interest will be as capital campaign contributions are paid to the project, which is a key element to this project, as opposed to the pro forma of the project providing the debt service for the loan. This loan will be backed by fully utilizing the collection of capital campaign contributions in what is going to be a $1 million capital campaign for this project, for many aspects of the project over the next 5 years. We'll have no forgiveness on this loan. Typically in redevelopment and modernization, we do provide up to 35% forgiveness. In this case, we're providing no forgiveness in that we're doing this in the unique way that we are doing it with regard to payment of the debt service. We'll have a first position on all of these capital campaign receivables. We'll also have a first lien on various residential and land properties owned by Northeast Shore Development Corporation, which I neglected to mention is the development entity or the development operative on this project. They own the building and they will be doing the redevelopment under the LLC of LaSalle AMC LLC. So those are the basics of the project. I have with me today some of the key players and participants in this project. I have the Executive Director of Northeast Shore Development Corporation, Brian Friedman, the Executive Director. Also, Betsy Figge of your CFO Resource, which is the project consultant and packager for this project, and also the agent that's doing the $1 million or leading the $1 million capital campaign, an entity called Grants Plus, and a Lauren Steiner here, among a number of other proponents of the projects and participants that are here to partake, if necessary, Mr. Chairman, of this in this presentation. So with that, I'd like to turn over the project description and some of the timetables and so on to Brian Friedman for.
Before we go there, just to make sure we have clarity on this.
Yep.
So you are asking that we would amend this resolution to change the 7 years?
To 5 years.
To 5 years.
Yes.
Will there be any other terms that will be changing as a result of that? Interest rate will stay the same?
Yes.
The amount, principal will stay the same? Obviously, the speed of payment is going to change in order to.
Well, yeah, actually, it hasn't, though. We had actually negotiated a 5-year term. That was a typo. The 7 years
okay.
was something that
Okay,
was
so
miswritten in the legislation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
nothing changes.
Okay.
All right, great. Mr.
Please.
Chairman, Brian Friedman.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Brian Friedman. I'm the Executive Director of Northeast Shores. I really appreciate this opportunity to share this incredible transformative project with the committee. This has been a great journey for us to get to this point, and I really appreciate the fact that the county is considering becoming a significant partner and letting us proceed with the project. I want to particularly thank the committee chairman, Jack Schwan, for coming out and visiting the LaSalle Theater, and of course the support that we get on a regular basis from our district councilman, Anthony Hairston. I just want to point out a few things about the LaSalle, and then we have a number of people that are going to make some brief comments to you guys about the importance of this incredible project. So as you can see, on page 2, this kind of frames for you a little bit the scale of this building. And for those of you that have been to East 185th Street, this building really is the icon for a corridor that connects I-90 to the lake. And at the top of the lake are 4 major institutions: Villa Angela St. Joseph High School, Euclid Hospital, which is part of the Cleveland Clinic Health System, Hospice of the Western Reserve, and University Hospitals that just recently built a $14 million outpatient care facility. The 3,000 employees that work daily up there, and their visitors and the families and the visiting sports teams that come to VASJ, they all have to pass by what has been a blighting structure on this corridor, the LaSalle Theater. The LaSalle Theater has been closed for over a decade now and has not been able to draw people significantly to the corridor as it will be after our transformation. So we're planning a $3.2 million project. The project will create 27 new jobs to the county and will be basically become the anchor for East 185th Street. The third page shows a bit of the floor plan that kind of frames for you how the building actually lays out. Along East 185th Street are 4 storefronts. Those storefronts will be occupied by a mix of buildings that will be supporting both the, basically the activities that are occurring inside of the theater space. The theater space will continue to be managed by Northeast Shores, and we're going to rent it out on a per-day basis for basically 2 primary kind of categories of activity. There'll be video and music production that will be occurring. We'll have a few speakers talk to you briefly about the importance of having additional video and music production facilities in the county, because there actually isn't full opportunities for that currently. And then also on the weekends, it'll be used as a special event space, and a Taste of Excellence has agreed to be our exclusive caterer. Above those storefronts will actually be the 5 apartments that will all be made affordable to families and interested in the building. And the other thing that's important to know about this building is because of us using it as a video and music production facility, the building will have hardwired Ethernet fiber optics throughout the entire building, so that the signals that are, the production that is happening there can immediately be sent back to a home mixing studio, either in the county or abroad, where the artists or musicians that are participating in activities inside the facility can actually send that to be finalized for their video and production needs. All of the spaces, the storefronts and the apartments, will also have access to that up-down fiber, which will be part of the rental agreement. And because of that attraction, we've been getting a number of people interested in fiber who are considering moving into the building or moving adjacent because of that opportunity. The final page of this brief document kind of showed you as a sideline of how the actual inside of the theater space will be broken out, where we'll actually be taking the floor of the theater and actually making it multi-tier so we can stage it in different areas, which is preferable to both the caterer and for the special events, so that we're not trying to program this entire massive vacant theater space, and instead we can kind of break it into some staging based on the scale of the event that's occurring. To date, we have $2.5 million committed to the project. This loan that we are asking for you today will be the end of the construction financing that we need to proceed, and we are treating this like a construction loan. While we do have 5 years to repay the loan, and we do agree with the terms as Mike May laid out, the goal is that basically this is the last dollars we need so we can commence construction while we're finishing up attracting the philanthropic dollars that we need to fill the remaining gap. The $2.5 million that have been committed to date includes a mixture of public, philanthropic, and public sources. We have a significant contribution from a variety of funds coming to this project from the city of Cleveland. And also, it should be noted that we did competitively receive state tax credits, and of course, we're taking advantage of the federal tax credits as well. That is the importance of the timeliness of this, and that our state tax credits, we are to proceed with construction by the end of December to retain those, which are competitive in nature, and we do not want to turn that up, those resources back to the state. We will make sure that we retain those on East 185th Street to make this project proceed. I hope the photos that are shown throughout this kind of provide examples of the historic nature and how strong the building still is. We're very excited about the roof, which is kind of the bottom left-hand picture on page 4 that kind of shows you that the roof is still significantly intact, which will be really quite a prominent feature once it's restored. To continue, I want to invite Scott Mills up. Scott Mills is a former board president for Northeast Shores and is acting as the campaign committee co-chair. Scott?
Thank you, Brian. Gentlemen, as Brian said, I'm past president of the Northeast Shores Development Corporation, current a board member now, and co-chairing the campaign. I can't tell you enough, but this is a game changer. This will take 185 to the next level and beyond. Having a Taste of Excellence being the onboard caterer, the media center down the street from the Beachland Ballroom, this is what really is needed for this corridor to expand and grow. As Brian said about the 3,000 employees that come up and down East 185 every day, it's about a 2.5 mile stretch. It's a lot of people. And going by there, we've all been going by it for all these years, and since I got involved with Northeast Shores back in 2008 or 9, this has been a pet project, and I'm glad that I'm able to help and come back and get it off the ground. So again, this is a game changer. We need to get this project done to have it be the catalyst for other projects on the 185 corridor. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to invite Cindy Barber. She is co-owner of the Beachland Ballroom and Tavern. For many of you who are aware that the Beachland Ballroom has become a significant anchor to the Collinwood community and has really been a transformative force for arts and musicians in the community. Cindy's the one that made me aware of the need for additional music video production space on the street, and actually that sometimes the Beachland needs a space larger than it typically uses, and might be taking advantage of the sale as an opportunity to do so as well. Cindy?
Yes, the Beachland could use a larger room sometimes, and to have it in the neighborhood would be completely convenient, obviously. We are our max out space is 500. With the LaSalle, there'll be an 800 capacity, and it can be seated. Oftentimes that's in the Beachland, the 500 capacity is standing room. We can only do 300 seated. So this would give us an opportunity to extend our reach, but keep it within the community. Waterloo is still in its transforming phase. We've gotten the streetscape. We're moving towards full utilization of arts and culture rehab on Waterloo, and extending it over to 185th Street would just improve that momentum. We're getting a lot of musicians moving to North Collinwood because of our incentives. Every day I get a phone call from somebody asking me if there's a space that they could rent or buy. And I started a nonprofit in 2012 to sort of address those economic opportunities that might be potential in the neighborhood. I think the LaSalle helps us also kind of tie in the Euclid corridor. The city of Euclid has been very cooperative in working with both Northeast Shores and the Beachland in sort of promoting music in the immediate area, and with the LaSalle renovation that would even further that. We have in Cleveland 8th Day Sound, which is probably the first or second largest production company in the world. They do Madonna's tours both nationally and internationally. Oftentimes they are looking for spaces to create rehearsal spaces for bands before they put them out on tour. So we could be thinking about an opportunity at the LaSalle where somebody like Prince or the Rolling Stones would be rehearsing for a week before they go out on tour. I think that's very possible.
Next, we'd like to invite Tom Schorgel up from Community Partnership for Arts and Culture. CPAC has been a tremendous partner for our artist attraction efforts in the neighborhood, and Tom will tell you more about those activities and other things he's doing in research around the arts.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. One of the things that we've been talking about for the last, 20 years that I've been here is Cleveland's arts and cultural assets. And one of the neighborhoods that has taken that concept and looked at what is indigenous to that neighborhood in terms of arts and culture and has built upon it is the Collinwood neighborhood. My organization worked with Northeast Shores about 3 years ago in a project that focused on artists in the neighborhood and the neighborhood working with artists. And the result of that was a national program called Artists in Residence, which has, as I said, become a national program. The other thing that CPAC does is research. And we do research around the arts and cultural economy. And one of the things Cleveland is certainly known for is musicians. And we have lots of different musicians and lots of different types of music that call Greater Cleveland their home. And we do have a recording and publish segment, and it is growing. And currently, based on research that we released in 2010, it's providing really good paying jobs at $50,000 per job and higher, depending on the type of work. So the LaSalle project I see as infrastructure infrastructure for the arts and cultural sector in terms of music and certainly video. And that is very important in terms of our for-profit growth in the arts and cultural sector. So the LaSalle project, from our perspective, will attract more recording opportunities to Cleveland and more video opportunities, as well as performance space for hopefully the Rolling Stones. Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to share, I'd like A Taste of Excellence's owner, Bill Reaney, to come up and share a little bit about their business and the role that the LaSalle will play in the catering industry here in Cuyahoga County.
Good afternoon. Afternoon. My name is Bill Reaney. I'm the owner of A Taste of Excellence. When we heard about the LaSalle project, very excited. My expertise is special events. Our niche in the industry is finding a unique location to host these special events. And that's exactly what this LaSalle offers. I love the location too. We manage and operate 42 venues in and around the city of Cleveland. And the one thing that we are starving for is larger spaces. We have City Hall downtown, the rotunda there. Our max there is about 225. Multiple other venues around the city, county buildings, what have you, and can't get large groups in there. That's what got us so excited about the LaSalle, and we see great potential, great possibilities there. For the LaSalle, we're going to handle the marketing on all special events, drawing traffic in, getting our potential customers excited about the space. And really, that's what our customer wants these days. They're looking for something a little different than your typical banquet facility, your typical, four walls. They're looking for, the uniqueness in the venue, the history in the ceilings and the rooftop and all these other great things that the LaSalle has to offer. So I can tell you this, it's going to be a home run. Very excited about the project, and we can't wait to get the doors open to start hosting events. Thank you.
And next up, we'll talk a little bit more about the financial structure of the project. Betsy Figge has been a tremendous resource and consultant for the project as we've been putting it together, and she'll explain a little bit more of the details around how the project is actually structured.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. I just wanted to provide a little bit of context to the council so that you feel assured that we have done our legwork in identifying and securing as many federal and state subsidies as possible that could be brought into this project to complement the loan that you're contemplating approving for the LaSalle. When the project first got started, Village Capital Corporation, in conjunction with Enterprise Foundation, provided an acquisition loan, which will be repaid as part of this permanent financing package. Additionally, the Ohio Finance Fund down in Columbus provided 2 grants to the Northeast Shores Development Corporation for stabilization purposes for the building. Also, First Federal of Lakewood was willing to step up with some unsecured pre-development financing, which helped us with a lot of the architecture and engineering that needed to be done. The folks at Northeast Shores were able to get this marvelous building on the National Register of Historic Places, which has allowed it to secure federal historic preservation credits. And then also about a year and a half ago, we went through the competitive process of applying for State of Ohio historic tax credits, and we were awarded those. Additionally, the City of Cleveland, both community development and economic development, has stepped up with Housing Trust Fund dollars, also Neighborhood Retail Assistance Program dollars, and Vacant Property Initiative dollars. Our main construction lender is going to be Village Capital Corporation, who is going to participate out a portion of a $924,000 construction loan. We're going to be using Cortland Banks as the participant there. And Village Capital is also going to be providing the bridge financing necessary to bridge the receipt of the equity coming in for the historic tax credits from the investor. So all of that coupled together with the $685,000 request that we have in front of the council today will bring us to our $3.2 million bogey. And we appreciate your consideration for this loan. We've been working very closely with Lauren Steiner and Grants Plus to help construct a capital campaign for $1 million. So it is for more than the repayment of this loan, but also to provide some additional enhancements to the project. Pleased to announce that we already have $170,000 in commitments secured. We have another $300,000 of successful letter of inquiry applications that are in queue, and then also $235,000 of applications that are pending. So while this may sound unconventional to use a capital campaign to pay for a project like this, it is a structure that other nonprofit organizations around the city have used. For instance, Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry with the Richard Searing Center, the Museum of Contemporary Art, the Ronald McDonald House, all of these use some combination of tax credit, enhanced financing, and a capital campaign to get them where they are today. So I appreciate all of your support. I'm happy to field any questions that you might have, either now or after today's meeting. Thank you.
And then finally, on our speaking junket is Lauren Steiner from Grants Plus. Lauren is the principal owner of Grants Plus, who's been our consultant helping with putting together the $1 million capital campaign.
Hello, I'm Lauren Steiner, company's Grants Plus. We typically, we do fundraising consulting. We're based in Cleveland. We do that work all over. We typically don't take on capital campaigns unless they meet certain criteria. We think that we can help in grassroots type efforts. We can help where foundations and grants are going to be a larger portion of that, and we can help on smaller campaigns. This and campaigns that are frankly set up to be successful. This campaign was attracted to us and it met all of those requirements. We think that this campaign will be successful, that the organization Northeast Shores does not rely on grants as a typical operational funder. It does, however, have good success with grants for projects. And so that's one of the reasons that we felt that this was poised for success. Another reason is that Brian and his team have great relationships. They do what they say they're going to do. And as Betsy mentioned, we have some really good indicators in the pipeline, and we have all confidences that if we continue doing the charitable asks, that we will be successful ultimately with the $1 million. Thanks.
If the committee has any questions, we're
Oh, I'm sure we
ready
do.
to answer.
Yeah. Committee members first? Anybody on the committee? Okay. Screens pass first?
Great, thank you. So explain, so I got the 4% 5 years, got that. The capital campaign contribution payment model, I don't think we've seen that before. So are you saying that there'll be a possibility of an early repayment should the capital, as the first $685,000 raised in the capital campaign immediately coming back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the loan, the way this will be structured is right at a minimum, there will be an interest-only payment that must be made per month. And then we have, on a monthly basis, have access to all capital that's received via the capital campaign. So any cash that comes into those coffers would go over to us immediately. So if they have a windfall, we are paid.
Okay, and then once the principal's paid, the interest payments stop, or do the interest payments continue for 5 years?
Well, presumably, the whole loan is paid off and we're done, so that.
Well, I understand, but sometimes the structure, if not, then the county would have anticipated 4% interest for 5 years. So
Yes.
that's why I'm saying, I'm looking at how this deal is structured. If you're saying the principal's paid, the interest, which is traditional, but I didn't know if this was structured differently since that option it's contemplated based, I mean, we're taking some risks that the capital campaign is successful, at least to the tune of 685.
Right.
And that's why I was just curious if for us taking on the risk associated with this repayment method, if the interest was going to be our incentive for entering into the agreement, meaning the 5 years interest at 4%.
It's not, again, it's not an incentive, it's basically what we're charging, and it's just the interest that's tacked on, and to the degree that there is money dispersed, first of all, we wouldn't charge interest on anything that isn't, or it'll only be on what's dispersed to them. They may not actually use all of the money. And again, it simply is a cost of them getting this loan. And if they pay principal and bring that principal down, the interest won't be charged. So I hear what you're saying, and I think the key is that we're not in this like a bank to try to get interest. We're basically trying to put a discipline on this and have it accrue interest to the degree that principal is out there. If the principal isn't out there and it comes back to us, we would basically forego the interest.
Okay.
Because again, we're not trying to make money on this loan. We're basically trying to put capital out there to assist the project and then get that capital back as intact and as soon as we can.
So we're in first position against the $1 million
Correct.
capital
Correct.
campaign?
We're in sole position against.
Okay, I was going to ask,
campaign.
so we're in sole
Yeah.
first position?
Yes.
Okay. And we have first lien on the land and holdings of what entity?
There of a number of properties that Northeast Shore Development Corporation owns in their portfolio. They have a number of properties. There are 13 properties that have been identified that are debt-free. There are a series of single and double of family residential properties and some vacant land that has no debt on it, and we would have a first lien on all of those properties. They've been valued at the county for $407,000, so that's basically their value at this point.
Okay, so the value of the collateral on the hard assets is less than the value of the loan?
Correct.
So the 27 jobs that were created, are those full-time jobs or were those construction jobs and full-time jobs after the construction is complete?
They are full-time jobs. No construction talked about in this scenario. It's these jobs that are being created are full-time jobs.
Okay,
Permanent
and
full-time
you
jobs.
said we're the last, everybody else is secured, they're locked down, everybody's in?
Correct.
Okay,
We're
but-
the last gap filler, if you will, last in money.
And this needs to be done by the end of the year so you don't lose any of your tax credits?
As I
is that
understand
right?
it, yes, correct.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Harrison? No? Mr. Miller?
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I'd like to thank all the participants in this very significant project. This project is definitely along the lines of what I envisioned when I started talking a couple years ago about the need to identify placemaking projects not only in the downtown area but in the various neighborhoods of Cuyahoga County, it sounds like it's going to have a catalytic effect in the neighborhood. I've been to West 185th Street. I've attended events there, and I certainly see the potential and see that this could make it even better than it is. I just have one question to Mr. May, and it has to do with how this fits into the Western Reserve Fund. Is there money in development's annual budget that would cover this project, or is this something that would be a Western Reserve Fund project that would probably be bonded out at some future time?
Councilman, I can't speak to bonding. I will say that this is in fact a Western Reserve Fund. It will be coming out of the Western Reserve Fund. It is a program, redevelopment and modernization of the Western Reserve Fund initiative. And so the capital that will be coming toward this loan or being utilized for this loan will come out of the Western Reserve Fund. It's perhaps my director can fill you in as to how that's going to be capitalized. As my understanding is right now we have in the budget, we have in our account, Western Reserve Fund account, we have well over that amount. We're in the millions, basically, of capital that's at the ready for these loans and projects. So this $685,000 is funded and will come from that.
Councilman, the only thing I would add is that we have Western Reserve Fund. It was budgeted at the beginning of the year, 15 million. I'm not certain what the balance is today, but the pipeline of all projects that we envision that would come forward between now and the end of the year are still within that budgeted amount. Whether we push forward on bonding this year's West Reserve Fund projects is to be determined as we're working through the budget. Some of the fund, but we don't expect to have to do that.
Mr. Chairman, Director, is there any Western Reserve Fund money that's in the annual operating budget that's that would be simply a part of the year's ongoing expenses, as opposed to funding that would either have to be bonded out or else funded through general fund reserves?
I'm going to make sure I'm answering the question appropriately. There are no operating expenses are costed to the Western Reserve Fund. Only project-based loans, grants, and any other incentives come from Western Reserve Fund. It is my understanding that about $8 million of what resides in the budgeted $15 million for economic development and West Reserve Fund are bond proceeds from the 2014 B bond that was issued in the fourth quarter of last year, and the balance is general fund up to $15 million.
Mr. Chairman, Director, you answered some useful questions, but not the one that I asked, so I'll try again. My question is whether any of the Western Reserve Fund money is part of the county's annual operating budget, or on the other hand, as I think you're saying, am I correct that anything that we put out on Western Reserve Fund, other than the $8 million that's already been bonded out, I get the sense that any of the rest of it would have to be paid for either by using general fund reserves or else by bonding it out. Is that correct?
It is my expectation that we are anticipating to do no bonding for any economic development activity. So the expenses that we have a budgeted $15 million for West Reserve Fund. $7 million of that would be part of our general fund operating budget. $8 million from bond proceeds from the 2014. So any expenses that are incurred that are not part of those bond expenses that were advanced from the 2014 bond are part of the would be an operating expense for 2015. We won't be advancing any funds or bonding for any expenses for this deal or others in 2016.
Mr. Chairman, Director, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe the chairman of the Finance Committee can also help, but as I recall, none of the $15 million for the Western Reserve Fund were put into the budget as part of development's operating budget. At most, it was a reserve on balance. So that, meaning that to the extent that money is used, that it either had to be bonded out or taken out of reserves. Is that correct?
It's my understanding that this is the following financing scenario for the Western Reserve Fund. The department's operating budget is captured in our operating budget. You'll also find a separate fund called the Western Reserve Fund. It is budgeted for $15 million of expenses. On the budget roll-up, you'll see a separate line item, which is a reserve on balance, that is an $8.5 million reserve on balance and an anticipated expense for a bond payment for Western Reserve Fund expenses in the future. However, in 2015, we haven't incurred any new debt or gone to bond on any Western Reserve Fund debt. So that reserve on balance hasn't been pursued. I don't expect it to be pursued by the end of the year. And I don't expect that we would pursue bonding new economic development activity. So the approach that we'll have to take for Western Reserve Fund activity will be different than in years past.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Some questions for, I think, probably Brian out there. And one of the things I think that makes the Beachland Ballroom also part of the program is that it has a liquor license. Will this be carrying a liquor license?
Yes, the anticipation is that we will get a liquor license for the theater space.
Okay, well, at this point in time, with somebody being signed on as your food preparation, are they anticipating that that's going to be part of the success of some of their events, that they will have a liquor license?
I'll actually have, if you don't mind, I'd like to have Bill come up here and speak directly to that, but I'm pretty sure that since those are private events, they don't come under the public consumption liquor license state laws, but he does this a lot more than I do.
But when you switch to the Rolling Stones coming there for an event like...
Jagger's going to want some alcohol.
He's going to want
sure,
some alcohol. Yeah, he's got that's. There's no doubt about it. You don't get a face that looks like that without having
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
So typically, the way the liquor license work in the different scenarios and the different venues that we host events at, it's owned by the property holder. So we have, let's pick a venue, Mapleside Farms, right? The owners of Mapleside hold that liquor license. We operate under their permit. We go to the liquor agency. So we haven't looked into it yet. As far as, what the liquor license, which class we would go for, but it's certainly something that we anticipate doing. We wanted the construction to start and to get the process started before we had our attorneys call down to Columbus and research the availability, which I'm sure there's plenty over in the area,
Okay, well, I go there every single day of my life, well, except the weekends.
But no, definitely. I mean, I think definitely it makes sense. I mean, if we're going to bring in the corporate events that we want to bring in, a lot of times if we host events and it's, at a building like the county courthouse, for example, our clients will bring in their own alcohol. Therefore, the state of Ohio doesn't require that you have a liquor license for that. In this situation, because we're looking to capture that revenue and, percentage of their revenue stream is going to come from our sales, I think it's a no-brainer. A liquor license will be bought for this space.
Okay, I just want to make, because I can only assume that that's going to be a component.
Oh, it is.
Knowing the neighborhood as I do, and
Right.
Having my father having won a pig at that very restaurant, or that very movie theater one day and bringing it home during the Depression. My grandmother saying, what do I do with this? But I do know the neighborhood
Right.
very well. That brings me up to, I think, Brian, we were talking about connecting with North Collinwood and the North Waterloo areas. On your original drawings that I saw, there was not a connection point. Has that since? You're going to be here for voting? Yes. Okay, I just want to make sure. Is that now part of the nomenclature as far as what's going on, that we are linking North Collinwood with the 185th Street?
Yeah, well, the intent, Chairman, is that the LaSalle Theater or LaSalle Arts and Media Center is the linchpin of our Made in Collinwood concept that I shared with you briefly, where we're going to try to make East 185th Street a stronger makers district, which around the video and music production, but there's also obviously makers in a lot of different categories along East 185th Street, and that would obviously loop to the arts production and arts activities that are happening on Waterloo. We're just trying to do that with significantly more intentionality, and we have been looking at revising the maps that were present during your presentation so that that's more visually obvious for our guests that are coming in on these tours that we've been doing.
And I think we also discussed that you're going to be proscenium stage projection coming out of there? I don't see these on here. Is that still part of,
No, it's very much
is it on there?
part of
Maybe I
that.
just, it didn't look like it comes out very far, and at least, I thought it was gonna come out further into the, onto the floor space, so you could have a bigger concert, because there isn't much depth to
Right,
that theater, as I recall.
No, we're adding, I believe, another 12 to 14 feet onto the stage in the front, and I left that in my chair, but
Okay. And parking?
yeah, we are working out all events, not necessarily when, people are practicing during the day, but whenever we're using it as event space, whether that's through a Taste of Excellence or, like Cindy mentioned, during the, if we're having a concert venue there, it will always require valet parking, and we are finalizing arrangements with the Cleveland Municipal School District for us to use the O.H. Perry parking lot for that. And while that's proceeding, and I don't see any reason that agreement won't be signed, we've come to terms, we just haven't, actually executed the legal document. We are working on a Plan B and a Plan C just in case.
Okay, because there's not parking in that,
No, there's
not
not
for events
sufficient.
the size you're talking
No,
about.
it will be a requirement, then anytime we use it as an event space, it will be a requirement, you have to use it as valet parking. And actually it was Bill and Bill's team at Taste of Excellence that pointed us to other similar locations that they manage where valet parking is a requirement, period. It's not negotiable. You want to use the space, you have to have valet parking. And that reassured us that that'll work out in this space as well.
And using Cleveland Municipal School Districts for parking where alcohol is going to be, obviously, someplace along the way in the process.
Well,
Any anxiety there on the part of, because I haven't heard of schools running their parking lots that would have a correlation to that.
Well, the valet drivers will not be.
No, they
allowed.
won't.
Right,
No,
right.
It's the recipient of the keys.
Yeah, no, actually, they already do this typically. There's a couple two examples that I can think of right offhand that CMSD is in that situation. The most probably similar one is that I believe why am I forgetting the name of the school? It's in Tremont Montessori. The Tremont Montessori School is used for valet parking for the restaurants that are located on Professor. So a lot of the restaurants that use that valet service, their cars are then parked and brought back from that CMSD facility.
Yeah, that's still private. I'm hoping the Cleveland Municipal Schools will see it as a revenue stream, because that's the difference between the Montessori and Cleveland Municipal Schools. Well, good luck on that. Will it be done in time for the RNC?
Unfortunately, no. We are a little bit behind schedule, and it looks like the space may be complete in time for the RNC, but it would be very challenging us for at the moment, barring us getting ahead of schedule on construction, be very challenging for us to promise any of the RNC events that the space will be made available in time for the convention.
And how about the Commodore? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
The Commodore Theater,
The Commodore Theater is now demolished.
it's completely gone. There's nothing left of it at all.
It is a vacant lot.
Okay, all right, I thought that. On Lauren Steiner, you're doing the capital campaign on that funding. Where does your fee come out ahead of, in relationship to our money? I assume you're charging a fee, you're not doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
So Brian and our agreement is that we are paid regardless, and that we have some ethics rules that we can't be paid on proceeds from any fundraising that we do. So we have a monthly fee and an agreement with Brian, so that's coming out of Northeast Shores, as far as I know.
Okay, so it does not come out of the capital campaign?
Right.
Okay, so every dollar of capital campaign, none of it goes to your fee?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Then I don't have to worry about who gets first. Any other questions based on any of my questions? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to applaud Brian Friedman and the others who are participating in getting this project to where it is today. I live in the community, close to where the community is, where the LaSalle Arts and Media Project will be located. And I can't tell you, from the folks who live in that community, they are so excited to see that something is finally happening to this theater that has been vacant for quite some time. I go to Councilman Palenzi's World Club meeting. I go to the East 185th Street Block Watch, the 156th Street neighborhood meeting the East 140th Street Community Organization meeting, and this is all they have been talking about, how they can be supportive, how they can be helpful in this process, and folks in that community are really excited to see this project come alive. And so I just want to say thank you to you and your team and your board members and Taste of Excellence and everyone else included who helped get this far. I'm proud supporter of this. I am listed as a sponsor of this project, and I ask my colleagues to join myself and Councilman Shrine in supporting this. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yep, Ms. Miller?
Just a statement, I don't get to vote on this today, not being on the committee, but just want to make it clear that I strongly support this project and wish you all well. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing nothing else as far as from a discussion standpoint, is there anything else, Mr. Freeman, you have?
If it's at all possible, we are, this is the last dollars in, and we'd like to start construction. So if there's any possibility of this being passed at the second reading, we'd appreciate it. I know that's up to your discretion. I also want to make sure, before I get rid of the mic or release the mic to the next partner, I do really want to thank not only all of you, but the department for helping us. Not only has Nate Kelly been helpful, and obviously Mike May, but the other person that's been incredibly helpful and supportive of our efforts is Jan Bain, who's not here today. But I can't say, you guys have an amazing team on that floor, and I can't say enough about how helpful they've been in this entire process. Thank you.
It's always good to hear the positive stuff. So often they only hear the negative stuff sometimes. So, great. Yeah, you were. Well, that's one, huh? Is that right? Okay. Hearing nothing else, let's first take care of the amendment. I would hereby move to amend to change the term from 7 years to 5 years. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, now we have the amended resolution before us. I will also move that this come forward for second reading approval with waiver of the rules. Chair will move that. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of a second reading approval of the amended resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none. It'll be on the agenda at the next meeting, or it should be. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have my name added as well.
Okay, if we can add Mr. Jones's name to it. Thank you very
Chairman.
much. Yes.
I'd also like my name added,
Okay,
please.
Mr. Miller. And my grandfather would like his name on to it also. That's right. And the next item on the agenda is, and I appreciate the folks who are here to represent. And as a courtesy, if you might want to thank the folks who are the first items on the agenda, just for allowing them to waive their status. Thank you. If we can read the second item, 0271, into the record.
Resolution 2014-0271, authorizing a casino revenue fund loan in the amount not to exceed $4 million to Landmark May LLC for the benefit of the May Company Building Project located at 158 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland.
Mr. Kelly?
Mr. Chair, members of council, this is an item that's been in committee since November when it was initially proposed. It's a casino revenue downtown development loan. It's a loan for $4 million for the redevelopment of the May Company building. May Company building is that large vacant white albatross on our almost brand new public square. Since that was initially proposed, this project has evolved, and John Carney and Bob Rains are here to describe the evolution of that project. What we're seeking today is a loan that would be contingent upon the project getting $25 million in historic tax credits and drawing those funds here to Cleveland and not elsewhere in the state as part of their catalytic program. There's only one that wins. Having public support for that project is helpful in securing that award for the project, but it's also one that the administration supports on its merits for the redevelopment of the building and public square. So with your permission, I'll allow.
Just for the record, you indicated this has been in committee since November, but I just would like to make sure that anybody reading the record would know that it has not been sitting in the committee at the committee's bequest. So if you could just put that on the record as to why it's been sitting here.
Sure. The reason why it's sat here is because The first time that it was proposed in committee was in anticipation of an application for historic tax credits for the first round. And unfortunately, the project didn't get it at the expense of a less meritorious project in Cincinnati. And so we're hoping that our colleagues in Columbus will come to their senses this time around.
Thank you. I just appreciate you putting that on the record. Mr. Carney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Sarah's going to just show you a couple slides.
Just put your name on the record.
My name's John Carney. I'm a general partner and managing member of Landmark May LLC, which is the developer of this project. Let's see what you've got. There were a couple of the facade. We just have a couple slides that are part of our catalytic application. This is one. It shows its location there in red, right at the foot of Public Square. You're all aware of it, but I think it sometimes helps to see it because the catalytic certificate is set up to catalyze development within a 2,500-foot radius. And we really think 2,500 feet from the May Company is about as dense an urban area as you can get in the state of Ohio. This is another one that just shows it in relation to the public square and the group plan on the malls heading towards the lake. So it's the same kind of thing, and we've shown some of the different items around it. This is a picture of the facade as it will look when we're complete. And we have another one that's a pretty picture. If you're aware of it today, Hurricane Sandy, when it came through, blew out some windows. They're now boarded up facing Public Square. And the facade has been deteriorating over the years. There hasn't been a lot of money spent in maintenance on it. So one of the main cost items that we have is to completely restore this Euclid Avenue Public Square facade, as well as the equally beautiful terracotta facade on Prospect. And they're a major part of the project. Now, had we gotten the last certificate, we'd have had that done for the Republican National Convention. To the extent we can start early, we might be able to get some work done on that prior to July. We can't guarantee it, though. If we do it, we won't have closed our primary loan by that time. We might very well come back and talk to the county and see whether or not we can spend this $4 million fixing it up. A lot of it's going to be weather dependent on whether we could do anything with that, because January, February, March, you just can't do a whole lot with mortar and everything on the outside. That's the pretty picture showing, with flags and just a little streetscape. The next pictures are going to be of the actual interior. I'm going to try to go quickly because I know you've been listening to a lot, but we have expanded the project. One of the ways the state gives its points, and they do everything based on points, makes it advantageous for us to work with the owner of the building who owns the first floor, the basement, and the front, 55,000 square feet on the second and third floors facing Public Square. He's retaining that. He owns the whole building now, but he's retaining that. So we're going to expand our project, which now will include 280 apartments, approximately 521 parking spaces, including his in the basement, approximately 78,000 square feet of restaurant retail, and that's where the current Tri-C is, and the little restaurant it operates, and that's included in that number. And my partner points out if the facade starts falling down, it's going to hurt Tri-C and wanting to stay there. And they've given us a letter of support, by the way. And then approximately 56,000 square feet of office on the second and third floor. So adding that to the apartments and parking makes this project much more substantial and is going to garner us more points in the state project. Each floor, if you remember, is 97,000 square feet, so it's more than 2 acres of floor in that building. This is just a schematic of the 5th floor, And it shows that in the center there will be parking and there will be units on the north side, which is the more straight-sided public square, the south side on Prospect, and then at the 5th floor level and up, 6, 7, and 8, there will actually be units facing east, because it's then higher than the buildings to the east. The next and my last slide is the way it's going to look on the 6th, 7th, and 8th floors. And the north, east, and south sides are the same, and we now have an atrium cut into the center. The atrium is very wide, just because the building's so big. So it's almost as if you were, one apartment was on one side of West 6th Street and the other apartment is on the other side of West 6th Street. So even though it's an atrium and it's going to be open to the elements, it's not going to be real close atrium. It's going to be plenty of space, so there will be privacy of people in there. And it's really the only way, and it's very creative, the only way that you could develop that big of floor plates, unless you could find massive users like the department stores used to be. So the total building's 900,000 square feet. It's a much bigger project, as I've told you. I mean, adding the work that the current owner is going to do, it makes it a $153 million project. And it will have, as I said, 280 apartments and about 420 residents, because some of them have double occupancy. We've employed Cleveland State University to do a study on the catalytic effect within the 2,500 feet, and it's super substantial. I mean, we could make a copy of that report available to you. The numbers get really big because the state wants to know what happens over 5 years and 10 years. So you just extrapolate and you get very large numbers. In December of last year, we certainly had a great application, but we lost to Cincinnati, a music hall, which the state thought was 2 points better than us out of about 150 points. So we then came in second. The May Company project, or not May Company, the Huntington project came in third. They had a different developer then. They have a new developer now. We don't really know much other than what we read in the paper, but they're competing. And then the Goodyear project came in fourth. It is now the third one that's reapplied. The Goodyear is out. It's not right in downtown Akron. So when you draw a 2,500 foot radius around, there isn't that much around. And they came in a distant fourth last time. So we really think with our expanded project, with the new criteria, now they've had two new criteria, and we have advantages on both. One of them, because they realize that the Cincinnati project won't even start until June of 2016, so the entire year and a half has gone by since they were awarded it. We would probably have apartments ready for occupancy in December had we been awarded it, so that's the difference. So being shovel-ready and being ready to go is a new category that gets 6 points. And as part of that, you have to have all your financing in place. And we've told both the administration and your chairman that getting this loan through the committee and through council is important to showing them. Now, we won't have it approved by council. We'll have the letter from the administration and hopefully this committee recommending it to council, but that is enough to show them that this loan will be part of this financing. And the other thing is the catalytic money, you actually get an extra point if you get less than 25 million. Now, we've already got 5 million that we were awarded in December of 2013. And when we get the catalytic, we have to give that back. So our contention is that means we're really getting 20 net, which gets us 2 points. And it's all about points. We have actually 2 loan commitments for a first mortgage, one from Commonwealth Bank for $60 million. We have an alternative from HUD on a 221D4 at $64 million. That's a little bit better because they take into account the tax abatement that we're getting from the city of Cleveland, and just the way they process it, they can loan more money. We have EB5 financing from the Cleveland International Fund, And we have basically equity from the developers. When you add it all up, our sources and uses balance. And that is a major thing with the Department of Developmental Services as far as giving points when you can show you have all your financing. The team, it's my partner Bob Raines, who's here with me, longtime partner. We did our first project in the warehouse district in 1991. David Goldberg, who couldn't be here today, and Michael Carney, my son. And the design build is being done by the Geist brothers, and Heather Rutch is our consultant for historical. So with that, I'll take questions, and I'll try to give you as concise as possible answers.
Any questions from committee members? Ms. Greenspan?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So when will we collectively know about the historic tax credits if they're going to be awarded?
Mid-December.
Mid-December.
Last year it was December 17th.
Okay, so let's make two assumptions. So are we the last, we're part of the stack, correct?
Yes.
Are we the last in at this point?
When you mean the county money? We think you'll be first in.
No, I mean committed. Are we the last commitment you need to have your complete stack?
Well, we need the state tax credit, but
Right.
up to the state tax credit, yes. I mean, and last time they accepted the letter just from the county, but this time they had this extra points for being more ready. So we're trying to accomplish that.
Okay. Well, did our first letter expire? Did it go stale?
No, it's not stale because
You're just trying to get more points by showing a little more readiness.
yes.
Okay. All right, now let's look on the negative side. Should the tax credit not go through, what then is the plan?
We don't have a plan C. The state accelerated the second catalytic certificate to this December. They did one last December. They do it every 2 fiscal years. So the next catalytic certificate will not be available until December of 2017. And our project will stop at that point. Your commitment to us will expire, and we as partners have put a lot of cash money in this. It'll be about $700,000. It'll just go away, and who knows in December of, well, actually in the summer of 2017 what'll happen. But from our point of view, we will not be actively engaged if we do not get it this December.
Okay. And I was looking through, maybe Mr. Kelly can answer this. I was looking, actually, the next two questions. I didn't see any contingency, meaning that, this is good through the decision from the state, meaning that if the state if we're unsuccessful in getting the historic tax credits, then this money then becomes available for other projects. Is that in the language, or I didn't see it?
I don't have the legislation in front of me, but we know that the intent is that it is contingent. So having the award, if it isn't in it, we can amend it. And we wouldn't go to loan agreement without having the historic tax credits there. As Mr. Carney already mentioned, those 25 million are fundamental to the project's
Okay,
completion.
so we don't need, maybe it's a moot point, because we'll know here in 90 days or so where we stand. So if we don't, if the credit's not offered, and maybe if that language is in there, it might not be as advantageous. So I was just curious to make sure we're all on the same page, we're on the record. Okay. The other question I have, this was included in the 2014 casino revenue bucket, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, yeah.
It is in the casino revenue bucket, not necessarily earmarked to any particular year, because it's a special enterprise fund, so all balances have rolled into 2015.
Well, the reason I say that is because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that currently have casino revenue as its funding source. I know there's a fifth on the way. So I just want to make sure that we're not talking about, this money's already been, I don't want to say encumbered, but it's already been attached to a year, meaning I understand what you're saying, it's one bucket, but meaning that there's no money in 15 that's going to be needed to satisfy this, because this, and there were two other $3 million projects, if I remember correctly.
There's about 13 million in the fund,
Right.
and we have a pipeline that is in that range, and we don't expect that all of them will get approved or actually come to council for approval.
But when this was brought up last year, this was one of three.
Correct.
All right, and the other two, were they 3 million? What were the other $2 amounts? You remember? Were they
3 and 1.5.
I'm sorry?
3 and 1.5. I
3
believe.
and 1.5, and that, I believe, spoke for all of that money available at that time.
It did,
Okay, and that's just where I'm going.
if they would have been approved.
If they, right, and,
And all three are still in committee.
right, okay. Great, I just want to make sure that we understand the totality of where we are on that. Okay, I have no further questions.
Mr. Chair. Miller?
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Carney, first of all, I commend you for your persistence in this very significant project. I wish you the best of success. And as you say it's all about points with the state people. And so my first question is in the first round, how many points margin did you have over the applicant that came in next behind you, which I believe was the Huntington project?
Okay, if you'll just give me 1 second, I just happen to have that. Last time, under the regular application process, we had 79 points and Huntington had 70 points. At the bottom, before we expanded our project on some of their other criteria, we had 107 points and Huntington had 104 points. And just so you know, that the Cincinnati Music Hall had 109 points. So they beat us by 2, we beat Huntington by 3, and the Goodyear was 97 points total. And this is public record.
Close race?
Pardon?
Close race?
It was.
Okay. Hopefully you can maintain and even expand your lead with the new criteria. So I hope that happens.
Thank you.
My second question is, how many parking spaces will be created and who do you anticipate will use them?
Our part of the project will have 380 spaces, and that will be primarily used by our tenants, although there will be some public parking. And the basement has another 143 parking spaces, and that is going to service the commercial retail office. And that's in the hands of the current owner. We really won't have anything to do with the operation of those spaces.
Okay. And do you have an estimate on what the monthly rent will be for the rental facilities?
For the apartments or for
Yes,
the?
apartments.
Well, we've done quite a bit of market study. I mean, if we make a mistake there, we can't service our debt. So that's we've done a lot of work. We've actually hired 2 separate marketing companies who take a little bit different approach. Last year, when we were before you, we were anticipating an average rental of $1.75 a square foot. Over the course of the year, certain costs have gone up. But our numbers we're working with now are $1.91 or maybe $1.93 a square foot. So it's made it significantly better, although there are additional costs. So if you have an 800 square foot unit, if you do the math, I can't do it as quick in my head, but it's $1,500. Yeah, $1,500 for a unit.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, Director. I have on my list the following potential applicants for the Casino Revenue Fund. This project, Euclid Waterfront, Corning Garfield, which we're about to hear, the Downtown Cleveland Alliance, and the Nucleus project. My question is whether there's anything that you know of that's in the works or in the pipeline or being discussed in addition to these projects.
Yes, we've received an application for $4 million from Shaker for a loan, not from Shaker, in Shaker, from RMS around the Shaker Van Aken area.
Anything else?
No more
That's-
applications.
Okay, that's what you've got so far. Okay, thanks, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. And I think you alluded to why the chair believes that it's important that those projects.
I'm sorry. We'll just clarify.
Well, I'm just, why the chair believes that those projects that are not in the downtown area as defined by the legislation, with the view that there would be criteria and programs put forth before any of those would be considered, should be done so as to not have a race to the courthouse as opposed to competitive process where the best projects would win, or maybe not even be successful, as they found out in Columbus with some of the tax credit projects out there. So I would highly encourage the administration to get moving on that aspect of it, so that, and perhaps even suggest that projects like this, and Mr. Miller was part of the Clean Ohio Council, that funds of this nature came out in rounds as opposed to first ones to the door. So I would think that's going to be a much more easily administratable process. But this being a downtown project, it falls into a different category when we set up these casino revenue funds in the first place. Site control, with whatever you do, you will have complete site control of the part of the building that you folks are looking to do. There's nothing else you need to do with your owner.
No, except get this catalytic certificate.
Well, I understand that.
But no, we have a contract extension. Our outside closing date is June 30th. It cost us substantially more waiting a year, but the rents have gone up, and so the project works.
Well, okay, and also, from the standpoint of the seller, he also didn't have the benefit of the revenue. So I'm just looking at it from his business standpoint, why the rents would go up.
Believe me, he's pretty sharp.
Yeah, it's not my job to worry about his job, but it's, because you're not going to probably be able to get a whole lot done potentially by the RNC, is there any possibility of doing a skin around the outside, of a visual skin of what it would look like, so that you see this in construction projects around the world, so that it doesn't just look like it's a building that's in disrepair?
Yeah, actually,
A vinyl skin or something?
Yeah, one of the main persons who does that is a Cleveland company, and they've approached us, and we're going to look at that.
Okay, because I think it would at least look like it's something in progress, and
Right.
and show a visual of what it's going to look like in the future. Wouldn't hurt for your potential tenants too, I wouldn't think. In the event that this does not go forward on the 17th of December successfully for you, is the administration prepared to pull this from the committee so it does not sit? Because that is the contingency, and it sounds like, based on Mr. Carney, that this is you're an all-in, as they say in Texas Hold'em. So if it works, great. If it doesn't work, this project is not going to go forward with your team. Is that?
That's correct. We had Plan B, and this is it, and
Yep.
Plan C we don't have.
Okay, so the administration would pull this at that point in time and pull this piece of legislation?
Well, one clarification, Mr. Chair, in the event that it is referred, with a recommendation for approval to
That's a good point.
council, then it will have been
It'll already been
addressed.
passed. Yep.
However, we did, when we put together a letter of intent to bring it forward, we put in print that we acknowledge the contingency that it would be dependent upon getting the historic tax credits.
Okay.
The other situations that we know here, it's been said on the record, we wouldn't move forward towards a load agreement without that being in place.
Okay, and that there's no need for second reading suspension because whatever you have, whatever we can give you as far as confidence and support will be whatever you get by out of this committee. It's not going to be passed by full legislation, so there's no reason to go forward any faster, Mr. Kelly, on that?
That's my understanding.
From our point of view, Mr. Chairman, we would like it passed by the council in case they call us and say, has this been done? And we could say, yes, the council has passed it. It's subject to your granting us the credits. But I mean, if it's not passed by the council, it's not passed.
No, I didn't mean to say it wouldn't get passed. It's just passed, whether it's second reading suspension or whether we just let it go through, get its second reading, and then it get its third reading. It would be passed way in advance of the December, of your December
When
date.
would the third reading be?
Well, it's this,
October 27th.
Okay, so would we have to be here for the second
no,
reading?
you don't have to be here for anything if you don't want to from here on
Oh,
out.
no, we want the council to know we're
Okay.
all in, if you will.
Well, then be
but-
here at the fourth Tuesday in November.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
That's when it'll come up for the normal reading.
I know,
October,
but
Mr.
we'll
Chair.
tell 'em we
Or October, I don't mean November.
go to another reading.
Fourth week in October.
My concern is they could call us next week and say, what is happening with this loan? And we would have to say that the council's not approved it.
No, you can say that it's been approved by committee, assuming it gets approved. You can say that it's in there for second reading with anticipated third reading approval. If they call you next week, you're still going to be able to give an answer on that.
Or the week after next.
Yeah, it is up for its third reading approval.
Okay.
As scheduled, as all legislation is scheduled by the charter.
When was this introduced? When was this I don't like being pressured into casting a vote. When was this just introduced?
The change?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, there's no reason to go any faster than
Okay.
third reading approval. So from that standpoint, there's no amendments to it. Is there a motion to? Yeah, I know. Is there a motion to approve this or send it for full council for second reading? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So it'll have its second reading at the next meeting and its normal third reading, which I anticipate should have a favorable result, the second Tuesday in November, October.
October. Thank you very much.
Keep missing this month of October.
Second reading October 13th, third reading October 27th.
Right, there you go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And the third item?
Resolution 2015-0196, authorizing a casino revenue fund loan in the amount not to exceed $2 million to Corning Place, Ohio LLC for the benefit of the Garfield Building Project located at 1965 East 6th Street, Cleveland.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members.
Let him talk first.
Mr. Kelly, would you like to introduce the legislation first on behalf of the administration?
Sure. So, Mr. Chairman, also, this is a casino revenue proposed project, same parameters as before in the downtown district. This project is for the redevelopment of that building on East 6th and Euclid. Historic building. The plans that they're going to propose today, you'll see, are ambitious and for the benefit of many. We're proposing a loan that is a 3% loan for up to $2 million, repaid over 7 years. And the use and project, in the interest of time, I'll, with your permission, allow it to be done by our folks that represent Millennium Housing.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of council. My name is Matt Solomon. I'm the Director of Design for the Millennia Housing Companies. With me today are Frank Sanito, who's the CEO of Millennia, and Tom Magnono, who's the project manager. You have before you the Garfield Building, which is, as Mr. Kelly mentioned, a significant structure that's located at 1965 East 6, and it's at the corner of East 6 and Euclid Avenue. It was originally built in 1893 and for almost 100 years was the home of National City Bank. With the property is the historic National City Banking Hall, which is also part of the property that we acquired under the Corning Place LLC entity at the end of last year. The location is right in the heart of the downtown neighborhood, and so we're planning to build on what has already been a great momentum of residential adaptive reuse. We have received our historic tax credits at the beginning of this year, and so we are requesting from the county the additional funds that will make this project immediately start as soon as possible so that we can get as much done before the Republican National Convention. We're hoping to close the project or close the financing within 60 days or so.
Sooner if possible.
Sooner if possible, and then immediately start construction. It is, as I mentioned, on East 6th Street, and there's been discussions from many parties of East 6th being the next East 4th Street, or a place in which there can be additional urban streetscape development. The Garfield Building will be the catalyst for anything that might happen on East 6th Street because of its corner location on Euclid and because the retail that we have within the Garfield Building will activate that corner and complement the small businesses that are across East 6th and the additional retail that is on the northern end of East 6th as it hits Superior, being the Leader Building, which also receives some historic tax credits. The project is $20 million of construction. Overall, it's a $43 million project. Was awarded the state tax credits, and it's going to be a significant benefit to the region because of the construction jobs. We're using local architects, local engineers, local construction company, which is the related entity to Millennia, American Preservation Builders. And not only the construction project, but the 4 to 5 retail spaces will also bring long-term jobs as well as the management of the residential component. It's adding 123 apartment homes on floors 2 through 11 of the Garfield Building itself, and the exterior is proposed to get significantly enhanced along the streetscape. Along East Euclid and the southern end of East 6 was a gray drug that was installed in 1947 that essentially put a blank wall on those two faces. And so we're proposing to reintroduce the 1920s historic facade along Euclid Avenue, which will really enhance this northern side of Euclid as we approach Public Square. And so those at the Republican National Convention, as well as those visitors to Public Square, will have an uninterrupted, enhanced streetscape along Euclid. This is really kind of the last piece of the puzzle, besides the May Company building, for really making this Euclid Avenue, as it hits Public Square, the jewel of the city. Inside is spaces that are completely unique. The banking hall, as I mentioned, was a former home for the National City Bank. There's also the lobby in the lower right, which is a portion of the Garfield Building, and then the details that just cannot be replicated. We've spoken with many contractors and designers that this is something that only happened once in history. So right now the building is vacant, and we're looking to essentially bring it back to life and be able to have the residents that live there and the guests all be able to take advantage of those spaces. The residential units themselves are of a contemporary feel, as well as the residential amenities being community rooms, fitness centers, etc. In terms of the retail areas, I mentioned there's 4 or 5 because of the a large amount of space that we have. There's a Euclid retail area, one along East 6th Street, and then the banking hall, as well as a lower level East 6th retail area. But the good news is that we've already got 2 letters of intent signed with retail users, without even having any of the improvements begun. Harness Cycle is a local Cleveland company. Jeff Ruby Steakhouse is an Ohio-based restaurateur, and they are proposing to do a significant business as well as rehabilitation of the banking hall to convert it into a restaurant use. And they have great amount of experience in terms of really working with the existing design and turning it into something fabulous. And to close, I'd just like to say that the Garfield Building has been here. It was something that links Cleveland's history in more ways than one. Besides National City Bank, it was developed originally by President Garfield's sons in coordination with John D. Rockefeller, and was put together with the National City Bank Corporation in around 1910 as they expanded and now consolidated as PNC Bank on East 9th Street. So it's important to really look at this as something that is turning the page while respecting what's there and the unique qualities, and converting it into something that will serve the residents of Cleveland for the next 100 years. In terms of a couple of details, there's no parking on the property. We have a agreement with the parking garage across the street, 515 Euclid, to lease 135 parking spaces, which more than addresses the residential use. There's also coordination with the adjacent Holiday Inn Express for valet for all the retail, especially the proposed steakhouse, and the utilities, et cetera, have all been coordinated with Cleveland Public Power, Dominion, et cetera, so that we're ready to start. The urgency is pretty significant because of the timing and the RNC, and we're hoping that we can look to you as our partners in this to be able to get this approved in second reading. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, nothing, my statements have nothing to do with your presentation. It's a discussion for this board. We have the use of, I'll use 2015 casino revenue, not 14, proceeds in 3 different committees right now. And one in Mr. Hairston's committee, one in Committee of the Whole in this committee. And I would just maybe argue that we somehow consolidate the discussion for the use of those proceeds into one committee, so we see what's before us collectively. Right now, unless you sit on Mr. Hairston's committee and this committee, well, we're all in Committee of the Whole, you don't have the full scope of what the requests of the casino money are. And so, I don't know if maybe we refer this out to the Committee of the Whole, we refer Mr. Hairston, the legislation, his committee, to the Committee of the Whole, so we all have it collectively at one point, so we understand how this money very well may be appropriated. The concern is, if we have it bifurcated this way, we're going to lose perspective as to what is there.
My only comment is that when you read the original legislation that was passed, that for something to come out of the downtown area in these first 4 years, it has to be an agencies of the circumstances determined by the Committee of the Whole.
Okay, well.
Not this. This does not require that. This is in the downtown area, proposed by the county executive. This does not fall in the same category as the other 2 pieces that you're discussing.
My only point is I'm looking at the use of funds, not the projects themselves.
Well, I'm looking at the legislation that was passed. The legislation that was passed said that the first 2 years would be put into the reserves. The second 2 years would be used for downtown projects. That's the first 4 years of the project, with the exception that if something came out to the agencies, the circumstances, it could be pulled forward in the first 2 years for a downtown project. If something came out that was determined to be agencies of the circumstances, it could be pulled forward out of the other 58 communities into the years 3 and 4.
Right, and that's
But
where we
years
are.
3 and 4 did not require that for a project that would be coming into the downtown area.
That's why I'm changing the discussion from the appropriateness of being in this committee. I'm not discussing that. I'm talking about the totality of 3 projects with the same use of funds that are in 3 different committees.
And I'm saying that this project is
All right, well,
not
then-
under those constraints.
Then I wouldn't support this based on the funding source consolidation issue. I'm just saying, I'm not saying, no, this looks like a great project. That's not my point. My point is, if we're going to start looking at, what do we have, 7 different projects right now with use of casino funds?
No.
And they're in 3 different committees. You have 4 in here at least. you know, 3 from last year, this one. I'm sorry, 5. Another one that was on the front page here. 1 in Mr. Harrison's committee and 1 in committee of the whole, with the same use of funds.
Yeah, we have 4 that are in this committee.
3 from last year and 2 from the, well, and
No,
well,
one
you
is,
say 'cause
one
we
is the
moved
same
out.
project as last year. The other one we already.
Right, you're right. So 4 and 2 others in different, spread
Right.
between 2.
And the only, of those projects, the only ones that meet the criteria of the legislation that this council voted on were those 4 projects that are in this committee. The other 2 projects do not meet that criteria unless it's determined by the committee of the whole, that they're such agencies that they should have, and that's why I'm advocating that if you're going to go outside of the downtown area, it's incumbent upon the county executive to put forth the rules and bring them back to here the same way we did with the original Western Reserve Fund, where we created the rules and put them forth.
Well, 2 of these projects weren't generated by the 2 outside of this committee were not generated by the executive.
I understand that, but they were supposed to still have rules as to what would be the criteria to be used for the agencies that would be defined.
Which is why, Mr. Chairman, that the legislation that's being heard in my committee deals with some of those other projects, but is a direct reflection of the funding source that these are coming from. So I understand Mr. Greenspan's point about possibly having a full discussion on the projects that are here, the legislation that is being heard in CD that will ultimately come out of this fund that was created. So I support his position on, and maybe not supporting this because of the 4 that we have here and those that are outstanding in other committees.
Then what you're saying is that neither of you are supporting the legislation that was passed by this council.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm
You-
saying-
well,
What I'm saying is.
Unfortunately, we've got folks here that if that was the position that we want to take, we should have defined exigencies way before this point in time for those 2 projects that are coming outside of the 4-year window.
Because we're here today and they're here before us, you very well may be correct. But at the same time, we proceed this route. This $2 million goes away. The $4 million comes in from Shaker. That money is approved. So then is it the expectation that anything that comes in from outside this committee then is an invalid project and not to be considered?
No. It's the expectation of, at least the way I read the legislation, is that anything that coming outside of the downtown area in the first 4 years, just as we decided on accelerating the 3 projects we've already approved in the downtown area, that we all agreed to approve, that Mr. Harrison was not here at the time, that we agreed to move those forward in the best interest of what we believe to be the community, i.e. the chandelier that went in and the 2 housing projects that went in down on the west side.
I understand. I mean, look, this looks like a great project. I'm not opposed to the project at all. So don't take any of my comments opposing that. Mike, and to the chair, we have 3 weeks in between council meetings. Right, our meeting is not till October 13th. Maybe we reconvene next Monday, work out some of these answers in between now and then before we proceed with this. Because either way, it doesn't go anywhere between now and next week because there's no.
Well, the other possibility is if the project is good and has merit, it can stay for a second reading and doesn't have to get voted on for a third reading. The chair, the president, at that point in time can schedule the agenda. He also has a committee of the whole set for the Euclid project. I don't know if there's any other projects that are scheduled for committee of the whole that he's going to bring forward. I really believe that what we passed was what we thought we'd passed, which was that no project would be going forward outside of the downtown area during the first 4 years.
Well, there's a provision that allows it after the first 2 for projects to be considered.
Not
That's
after the
all I'm
first
saying.
2, after the first 4. In the first, well,
July 1 of 15 is when projects can be presented
if
countywide.
If determined to be emergency to accelerate it faster than the 4-year period.
I'd have to look at the legislation for that specific loan. All I'm saying, I'm not, like, once again, I'm not saying no. My only point is we don't have, there's no rush because there's no meeting between now and the third, you know, there's nothing that happens in the next week. So my only point is, let's hold this for, and schedule a committee meeting for next Monday, and let's continue the discussion.
Well, the alternative is to vote it out of committee and have it sit there and while you go have the same discussion in the committee of the whole, when you're going to have that discussion at that point in time.
So do you want to refer this to the committee of the whole?
No, I can't refer it to the committee. Only the president can do that. But vote it out so that you've got your same discussion that takes place in the committee of the whole when you hear the item in regards to the Euclid project. Because the same issue is going to come up during the Euclid project, I can only assume. Because the Euclid project is the first one, to my understanding, that will be challenging bringing forward at a faster pace than 4 years.
Well, no, the CDSG was
Well-
introduced in January, but, or earlier this year, sometime earlier this year. I don't know, recall the exact date, but it's just, there's a scenario that's been created as a result of, and I'm just trying to get an understanding as to how we address these funding sources addressed collectively. So if you're saying vote it out for second reading and.
Just let it sit there in the president's hands, because he's gonna control the agenda and he'll control the committee of the whole. And the committee of the whole will come before the third reading of this piece of legislation would, and he doesn't have to put it on the agenda for the third reading.
Well, I mean, I'm inclined to go either way. I think you make a point, and so does Mr. Greenspan. I mean, either works for me.
Well,
Look, I'm okay voting it out for second reading. It'll sit.
It'll sit.
And then the chair and the president can then assign it to another committee for further discussion or.
well, he's
let
gonna,
it sit
he can
before-
assign it to the committee of the whole at that point in time.
Correct.
Along with the other. But I think that this is different than the other two pieces you're talking about, based on what we passed as far as the original legislation. This is in the downtown area. This is,
Will's here, and he and I were just had a sidebar. You want to come give us some understanding?
well, we have the law director here too.
The law director, I don't think you have that.
All right, so I just wanted to clarify requests for early spending. In section 709.05, it says notwithstanding, let's see, section 709.03 of the county code, after June 30, 2015, and before July 1, 2016, the county executive or the county council may propose spending monies on specific projects promoting economic development in any area of Cuyahoga County. Council shall determine whether any specific project justifies an earlier than anticipated expenditure of funds. So it's up to council at this point whether or not you'd like to expend funds outside of the downtown district.
well, let's get to the reality of the check. If the county executive does not want to support it, it can get vetoed.
Right. Well, let's
that's
put it this way. I've got my standard list of questions I usually ask about this project. I'm willing to forego those questions at this point, refer it out for second reading, let it reside with the president for possible referral to committee of the whole. That way we can
Refer to the
advance the
president,
project.
period, and let the president make the determination.
Right.
Okay. So is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it will be on there for second reading at the next council meeting.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
That may be the quickest
That means,
approval of
that
it.
means
Non-discussion
leave
of
the podium,
procedure.
Mr. Kell. Yeah, well, obviously, there's other moving parts, to other people wanting money, and the finite element is money. It's not an infinite source of funds, and the casino revenue, when originally the Plain Dealer came out with it, was going to be $12 million a year. Some of us said, ain't going to happen. And now it's hovering around 6.5, 7, 8 million, less than $8 million. And we try to put some legislative constraints in regards to how those funds were overspent. We actually had people wanting to spend it before we ever got the money. Oh, no, you go back and read the record. We had people that actually pre-spent money before we ever had and so this could be the same case if you think about it.
Well,
Not in this particular one.
Once again, if I can, to the gentleman, no issues with the project. This loved the project. This just had to do with an internal discussion about, right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, is there anybody submit any requests or any comments unrelated to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, hearing nothing else, adjourn the meeting.